So here's some advice on how to learn anything. So it could be an exam, it could be improving your skills, it could be growing your business or your practice, whatever you want to learn, whatever you want to improve your skills at, these tips and rules would help. So the first thing I've got up here is this quadrant that Stephen Covey talks about, whereby you've got important and urgent. And learning and studying and working on your business, they're all the sort of things that fall into box 2. And box 2 are the things that are important. So you really want to do them, but they're not urgent. They haven't got a deadline. And because they haven't got a deadline, what tends to happen is they don't get done. All the other things with deadlines get done, and these things never happen. So people talk about, I'm going to write a book, but they never actually get around to writing the book because they're always too busy doing other things. So that's the first thing to be aware of. You need to set time aside. The second thing you need to be aware of is, and I'm sure you are aware of it, but it's just worth re-emphasizing. Everyone knows we've got two sides to our brains. We've got the left or logical side, and we've got the right or creative side. And traditionally in schools, etc., what tends to have been the case, although I'm sure it's improved now, but what tends to have been the case is that there's been more emphasis on the logical side. So textbooks, step-by-step processes, learning vocabulary, learning rules of grammar, going through things in a structured order. But that only gets you, well, less than half, because if you can get both halves of the brain working, then you've got much more than the sum of both parts. And the other thing to be aware of is that there are 8 different types of intelligence. So again, in schools, they tend to, always did used to tend to cater for 2, which is verbal reasoning and numerical or mathematical reasoning. But a lot of people have got other types of intelligence, like spatial awareness, like interpersonal, intrapersonal skills. There's 8, it's estimated there's 8 or more of these different types of intelligence. And it's also been fairly substantially proved that most of us are capable of reaching genius level in at least one of them, if we apply ourselves. So when you're studying, you need to be using or appealing to the types of intelligence that you're most good at. So if you're really good at, say, spatial awareness, then you'd want to be moving around if you were studying, because that, or learning something or practicing something, because that plays to your skills. And you want to be doing things that enable you to use your physical, motor skills. And the other thing that sort of compounds that is the 3 learning styles. Visual, we learn by seeing things. Audio, we learn by listening. Kinesthetic, we learn by doing. And effectively, if you sort of do one of those, just follow one of those sort of. So if you read something or you hear something or you say something, that might give you a 10 or 20% chance of learning it. But if you do all of them, so you hear it, you see it, you read it, you say it, and you actually do something, then your chances of learning it go up to 90%. So you need to use all the different types of intelligence and all the different learning styles. Now, here is a really good mnemonic for remembering the most effective way to learn, and it's Oliver. And there's 3 things about Oliver, actually. One, Oliver's a musical. So remember that if you can sing things, put words and put songs into the words that help you learn. Tunes, you always remember songs, so singing it or making up a song will help. Oliver's a book, so obviously reading helps, so you need to read about it. And Oliver's a film, and a film means it's pictures and it's moving pictures, so you want to see images, which is visual. And the more you can see these images in color as opposed to the old black and white, so it's a colored movie, it's not the old days, so it's color and it's not a silent, it's a talking movie. So you see images, they're moving in color, and you hear sounds. So Oliver's a musical. So it's a musical, a film, and a book. So that's one reason why remembering Oliver's good. And the other bit then about it is what it stands for. So O stands for anything odd. So odd as in, the police appeal for witnesses who noticed anything odd, because we tend to remember things that look odd or unusual. L stands for linked. So if we can remember a story where things are linked together, we're much more likely to remember them. So if you had a shopping list, what you do is you link all the items together. So, I'm just making this up the top of my head now, but if you had to get some meat, milk, eggs and bread, you'd probably do something like, imagine a huge joint of meat lying in the road. You're walking along and you've got milk in one hand and eggs in the other, you trip over and the eggs fly everywhere. So when they fly everywhere, you sort of wash the pavement down by tipping the milk on so you can sweep it away, and then you mop it all up with the bread. That's a stupid story, but that's the sort of idea. You make up a really weird story, and then you can remember the story going forward, and it helps you remember. I stands for interest. So a lot of the time we've been in the past forced to learn things we didn't really want to learn. So we're not interested. So therefore we don't learn. But if you're picking something you are interested in, then you're much more likely to learn it. V, I've already covered, visual. So if you can make things visual, particularly vivid color and moving, that works much more effectively. E stands for, well, hang on. E stands for emotion. So if you really want something and you feel emotional about it, and it's something that you really would, it's your heart's desire sort of thing to achieve it, you're much more likely to learn it. So if you're learning a language because you want to go on holiday somewhere nice, then that's emotional. So that will help you learn it. And R stands for relevant. So again, you're only going to learn something if it's actually relevant to you. So, you might learn to speak fluent German, but if it's not relevant to you because you're never going to use it, then you're not going to be very good at actually studying in it. So that's some tips there as to most effective ways to learn anything. And the thing then to bear in mind is it's been proved we can learn anything if we wish to. So anything we need to learn, skills or knowledge, we can do so long as we want to. And if we do, then basically you need to use these variety of strategies. A lot of this is covered in some books written by Colin Rose and Malcolm Nicol. One of them in particular, which I've been reading, which is brilliant, is called Accelerated Learning for the 21st Century. It's probably about 20 or 30 years old now, but it's still brilliant. So that's really a good recommendation. Also, Brian Tracy's done an audio on Audible called Accelerated Learning, which I think he based on that book. So, it covers the same material. And if you wanted to know any more information, my website is bernardkeevy.com. So I hope you found that interesting. If you want to discuss it or make any comments, that's great. But hopefully that's given you some useful information. Thank you very much for watching.